Heard you looking for some tips on character design.
Hi, my name is Blue. I make stuff on the internet, and welcome to my personal tips and tricks for making cool looking characters. Honestly, I've done 3 rewrites of this script and I've hated all of them. So if this video seems messy and a little more ranting than explanatory, I apologize. I am not a professional. This isn't so much a guide for seasoned artists, but rather a few of my opinions, personal approaches, and a general idea on how to start getting into character design for like a new artist who might just need a point in the right direction. I highly recommend that everyone who watches this video does further research and finds their own flow. Thank you. In this video, I'll be talking about the following in this order. What is character design and why does it matter? My personal approach to art, such as my art process, my references, a brief touch on misconceptions, such as OCs and redesigns, and that's kind of it. With all of that out of the way, grab a pencil and some paper, or whatever you use, and let's get into it. So, character design is simple in theory. You draw a character and boom, you're done. Well, yes, but actually no. In reality, there's a little bit more that goes into what makes a good character design. It's so important, it's often its own department in many media studios of all kinds. That's how important it is to the whole visual story. Your favorite character, video game skin, comic villain, all of them went through some kind of character design process to make them distinct and recognizable, which is the goal of character design. Also to tell a visual story. Honestly, as another note, as much as character design is mostly visuals, writing and storytelling are giant parts of making good characters. Most of the time, when you're making a character design, there's some kind of story behind it. Being an artist just means telling a story with visuals instead of words. It's hard to be an artist without being a storyteller too. So with that in mind, when making characters, think about the setting and time they belong to and just kind of build from there. It really, really helps, trust me. When I make characters, I go through a relatively simple process. Let's just say the inspiration for a random original character mid-school day. The first step is to get the idea down just at all. Even if the sketch is complete garbage, the idea is down, which means I can refine it later if it blooms into something more. Tied directly into this is inspiration. It comes, it goes, and it's a pain to have in big quantities. Other artists, if you get it, you get it. Literally anything can spark it. Music, pictures, other people's art, anything. If something sparks it, then I'll write it down, doodle it, sketch it, save it for later. And then to push it on further, I listen to music with that vibe, look at Pinterest or TikTok, anything that could further this spark into an actual art piece. After that, I actually sit down and draw it. Line art and coloring. These two are mostly irrelevant things to the topic of today's video, nor do I have any real process to it. If I should make a separate video, let me know, but I don't know. Now, let's say I want this character to have a backstory and a specific job, like a mercenary from an alien planet. Well, that's when I would pick through information that would help me make this character, make new bits up if I have to make them seem more natural. There are dozens of different ways you can convey personalities through body language and shape language and the simple act of how the character looks. Like Hypno here! Exactly the character I described earlier. They hold a bunch of sharp points in their designs and have a relatively passive look on their face. Even if you don't know much about Transformers, you might be able to pick out the idea that they were antagonistic through their sharp claws and points and maybe even their purple paint. Even if you can't guess every little thing about a character strictly from their appearance alone, you can still get a generalized idea. Most of all, it catches your attention. The bright cyan stands out from the dark purples and grays, drawing your attentions to the details and making you examine more about this character. This leads to the final bit of this section, References. References are the utmost important when working with something I'm not familiar with, pulling up pictures of poses or short tutorials on how to do something. Personally, I use Pinterest for this, but if I need something a little bit more obscure, I have to use stock photos. But let's just say I need a reference for how to do something like shade a render. That's when I use YouTube. The art community is huge, and dozens of people post art content showing their own processes for making art. Some of my favorite channels to watch are Paranoid Rat, Zepp1, and Draw Sessions. I highly recommend checking them out, and I'm going to leave their channels in the description. I also feel like touching up on these topics that might confuse new artists as they come across them on the internet. You're gonna hear a lot of, "This is my OC! Check out this redesign I made," and "I really like this person's style." I'm gonna quickly explain these terms, what they mean, and some minor misconceptions about them. An OC is short for original character. It is simply a character someone made. Every mainstream character you know is an OC. Spider-Man, Batman, Darth Vader, Master Chief, even Sonic the Hedgehog. These characters are all original characters created by their respective creators and have become widely popular. Despite the word original, these characters don't have to be 100% brand new, never seen before. They can take tropes from other characters, be put into pre-existing worlds, and just be someone's favorite character made with their own handful of changes, you know?
A redesign is fairly self-explanatory. It's redesigning a character. I won't be touching the surrounding controversies that come with redesigns today because I feel that requires a bit more research and to just be its own main focus of its own video. Continuing redesigns are popular everywhere, especially in media where the characters are simple in their source material. People often use redesigns as reflections of their own headcanons for their favorite characters, or to improve the character's visual look to seem more appealing, since sometimes certain characters can be unpleasant to look at. A lot of times I see people confusing stylizing characters as redesigns, which is the case sometimes, but not always. Styling a character is when you apply your own personal style to a character, and this can change the look of the character to make them fit the style. If you're unsure, you can always pop into the comments and ask for some clarification, and they'll give it to you. But most of the times, people do specify whether or not they're redesigning or just stylization of a character.
This video took me a long time, I'm gonna be honest with you. Once again, take everything I say with a grain of salt because this is just how I approach making character designs. I hope this was a good outline of what you'd want to take into consideration when taking your first steps into the pool of character design. Of course, try new things, play around, figure out what works for you and what doesn't. No one was born God's perfect artist. It takes time for you to find your flow in your comfort zone. Once again, thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you do, sorry to tell you, I don't post very often, and when I do, it likely won't be high quality. This is sporadic sometimes, or in this case, this one's for a school project in English. But yeah, thank you, bye!